Meanwhile, Donald Trump has nominated former prosecutor Pam Bondi as his new pick for Attorney General after his previous nominee, Matt Gaetz, who was the subject of an ethics investigation, withdrew his name from consideration. Ms. Bondi, who previously served as Florida Attorney General, defended Donald Trump during his first impeachment trial and was part of his legal team when he falsely claimed the 2020 presidential election had been stolen. There's been a positive reaction from many Republicans to Ms. Bondi's nomination, but question marks remain over some of the president-elect's picks for his top team. Well, let's talk about this some more with Joe Moreno. He's a former federal prosecutor. Joe, great to have you with us on the programme. I just want to, if I may briefly, first of all, get your take on the latest on this hush money case.
Sure, Anita. Well, the Trump team is advertising this as a complete victory. I wouldn't go that far. A complete victory, of course, would have been a dismissal, and they did not get that. This is the second best thing. What this is basically saying is the case is put on pause for at least 4 years. Basically, the government cannot argue now that Donald Trump is a convicted felon because you're not a felon until you're sentenced, and he won't be sentenced now. So it's good in that respect. It's bad in the fact, though, that it's hanging over his head for the next 4 years. And Alvin Bragg can continue to pursue this after Trump is out of office. So, it'll be interesting to see if perhaps the DA's office loses interest in it, or if on the immunity point, as your correspondent mentioned, the Trump team can get it thrown out in the next 4 years. But being elected president is not itself a basis for dismissing a state case. And sure enough, the Trump team did not get that.
Interesting. Back then to Pam Bondi, assuming that she is confirmed, what are we going to see from her as Attorney General that we would or wouldn't have seen from Matt Gaetz if he had been confirmed in the role? Both real Trump loyalists, aren't they?
Well, I think we've already seen the difference is that there was absolute shock when Matt Gaetz' name was announced a few weeks ago. He has a swirling number of ethics issues around him, and he's barely practiced as an attorney, I think basically 2 years. Pam Bondi's very different. I think there was some surprise last night because her name had not been previously floated. But when you think about it after a day, it's okay. She was a twice elected Attorney General of the state of Florida, the third largest state in the country. She's tough on drugs. She's tough on illegal immigration. And to your point, she's a Trump loyalist. And I think that's a mistake Trump is determined not to repeat this time. I think he felt that his first Attorney General in his last term, Jeff Sessions, really failed him by allowing the Bob Mueller Russiagate probe to go on as long as it did. I think he felt his second Attorney General, Bill Barr, also failed him by not embracing his election denialism issues in 2020. So I think what he's saying this time around is whether it's justice or FBI or another senior White House appointment, he is going to appoint people that know him and that he knows and that are going to put basically him first.
But the Attorney General is supposed to be an independent figure, aren't they? So are you saying we're not going to see that?
Well, people feel differently about that point because, yes, the Attorney General, by all ethics standards, should be independent. But the fact is that he or she does work for the president, and the president is the head of the executive branch. And all powers exercised by the Attorney General and any other executive branch official all derive from the powers of the president. And so you could have a president that keeps the Attorney General at arm's length and says, you go do your thing and make your own priorities. Or you could have a president that says, I want you, Mr. and Mrs. Attorney General, to basically follow my lead, to not go too far astray, and keep them on a short leash. And I think the latter is what we expect to see in this next Trump administration.
Do you think, and this is a point that was made by a number of people I've interviewed in the last couple of weeks, that it was always a plan to put forward Matt Gaetz, first of all, thinking that he likely wouldn't get through the confirmation process or would withdraw, and then the idea being, here's a new pick, and everyone else thinks no issues with this.
Yeah, that's sort of the four-dimensional chess theory, right? That this was all a big plan. It's possible. I think that the shock that came when Matt Gaetz' name was announced was so palpable, and I don't think there was any chance he was going to get confirmed. And so, yes, it could have been sort of a head fake where his name was put out there. It was so controversial. He drops out so quickly, and then the next one sails through. So I think Pam Bondi is probably a fairly safe choice. Anything can happen during confirmation hearings. But if I had to guess right now, I would say she probably gets few, if any, Democrat votes. but the 53 Republican senators in the Senate will be more than enough to confirm her.
An incoming president losing one of his picks is not particularly shocking. It happens quite a lot. I guess problems happen potentially if more of those picks are called into question, don't make it through the confirmation process. There's been a lot of chatter around the pick for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. I mean, do you think we're going to see some of the other candidates that Donald Trump wants on his top team not getting through that process?
Donald Trump is absolutely determined this time not to go for traditional Washington picks, right? He's going very outside the box and getting very creative. It'll be interesting to see how these folks do, though, under confirmation scrutiny. So it's great to say that they're going to come in here and kind of shake things up and not be traditional. But the fact is, you need tremendous managerial skills to kind of oversee these departments that are huge, especially the Defense Department. Peter Hegseth might be a great American. It's wonderful he served in combat. That's fantastic. But he's never managed anything quite this large. And so he'll get a lot of scrutiny there, not just from the fact that he's not a traditional Washington insider, but can he actually handle the job? So putting aside the fact that he's fought for this country, he has not managed anything like this, much less our largest department in the executive branch that exists.
And I just wonder, with Matt Gaetz having withdrawn, does that give the Senate a sort of a sense of, actually, if we put pressure on here, we can affect change? So I just wonder how many of those Republicans in the Senate will think, if we're not happy with someone else, let's try and push them out.
We have seen over the years the two houses of Congress really start deferring to presidents of their own party. This was very different 100 years ago, where the legislative branch really asserted its own prerogatives. It doesn't do that so much anymore. So it'll be interesting to see if the Republicans in the Senate defer to Donald Trump and largely give him what he wants in terms of whether it's confirmations, whether it's laws being proposed, whether it's executive orders, or they push back. And so that'll be interesting. And this will be the first sign to see how these initial confirmation hearings go. If Matt Gaetz is any indication, though, that the White House realizes it may have some clout, but that clout is not infinite.
OK, good to talk to you, Joe. Thank you very much for your time today. Joe Moreno.